Good afternoon. Thanks for coming on board with us. 7 o'clock, just after, on Friday, the 30th of October, episode 11 of So What's Been Happening. Let's just say a lot's been happening now. We're finally back out of lockdown for the moment anyway. Let's bring on a good mate of mine, Mr. Glenn Curran. How are you, Glenn?
Gaz, how are you, mate? Lovely to see you. It's been a big week in life, not just sport. It's been a big week in life, so hopefully things continue to go on the same path.
Sure has. It's been good to be out and about and seeing some familiar faces again, that's for sure.
Yes, very much so.
Right down to the point where we got to share a coffee, mate, yesterday, and that was a good sign. So we went through the great debate at the moment of to mask or not to mask. What's the deal? No one kind of knew the deal, did they, when we went and sat down at the cafe? Were we supposed to wear it? Or are we not supposed to wear it? So it was a bit of a laughing stock. So we took a poll last night, and the poll was overwhelmingly no mask. So thank God for that. Let's give the mask the bullet for a little while. But it's all about common sense, isn't it, Glenn? And I know you often talk about the words common sense.
Yes, and as some people would like to attest to, that at times I don't show common sense myself. But look, the situation that we're now in with the pandemic, from a Victorian point of view, if we keep doing the right things, I think Dashing Dan only has one choice: to keep things open, keep things going the way they are. As long as we are respectful of the space thing and whatever, social distance, do the right thing, we'll be allowed to be doing the things that we are constantly doing or started doing again now.
Yeah, well, I suppose let's not bring up the discussion of doing the right thing, because it's fair to say there might be a few questions asked on who did the right thing at the start. So let's not touch on that subject. But I don't think we've really got too much of a choice now. Where it's a case of stay open and survive. So our numbers around the world look pretty good. So hopefully we can keep this for a little while. We've just got to start slow, get through to Christmas, it would have been great to get a crowd to Cup Day, but we'll talk about that in a second. Obviously, we can't get a crowd to a cafe at the moment, so there's not much chance of it going anywhere else. But let's see where that takes us. So let's bring on another good mate of yours, Glenn. I could just see him sitting backstage, loving this little chat. I'm sure he's jamming down his dinner about now, and have a little wash down at the same time. And let's get the great man on. Lovey, Alan Love. How are you, Lovey?
Oh, have a look at me too. That's fantastic.
Just as I get you midstream with a glass of red, mate.
With the glass.
just slurping away with the high level horses in the trough, mate. It's fantastic.
Look, I can tell you, it is great to see on a Friday night. Glass of red and some fish and chips, mate. So it's good to see.
Oh, is there any other way? If it worked for KB, it should have worked for me. It's a shame it never did. So, that's the way it goes. But I'm going to pick up on this conversation. It's a really funny story that you two are sitting at the front of a cafe. The last time I sat at the front of a cafe with Glenn was in Warrandyte 2 years ago.
Oh.
And because of Glenn, of course, literally within 3 hours, I was on the way to the hospital because I got cellulitis in my leg. I don't know what it was. Glenn and I are perplexed as to what in the world happened, but I went straight downhill as soon as I'd finished conversing with him and eating. I'm not sure if it's a company I kept that day or not, but I can guarantee anyone that's got cellulitis or has had it, it is some of the worst physical sickness you can have within the space of about 3 hours. It's like having 2 days worth of gastro all bunched into 1 3 hour block. It's hilarious. It's good stuff. So, but that was Glenn. That was Glenn's fault. The last time I've ever wanted to have a cup of coffee with him. Well,
we've had a couple of shows of with certain malfunctions and backstage issues, which has happened in this show, and Glenn will attest to one good one he had a little while ago with a little. It was probably, I think it was show 1 or 2, Glenn, wasn't it? It was pretty early in the piece. As we all discussed, this was never supposed to go past episode 1, but after episode 1, we've had a bit of fun and we brought some good guests on, and it has been really fun. So Look, we'll get into racing chat in a second because I know you boys love your races. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm a racing expert at all. So what I do is
when you finish it,
I enjoy what I do is enjoy the festivities, and sadly those festivities aren't going to happen this year. But I can tell you one guy that I've had some festivities with along the way over the last 20 plus years at least. Went to school with his brother and know the family well. Good mate of mine I'd like to bring on now, Sean Wallace. How are you, Sean? Good to see you on a Friday night.
Mate, you're very fortunate that we're in a pandemic because, I would have been at Moonee Valley, mate, so you would have been hard-pressed getting me on. So what's been happening? The races, Moonee Valley, Derby Eve, I would have been building a big bank for Melbourne Cup Carnival, hosting a few clients and swigging a few beers.
Absolutely. It's good to see you, Sean. Sean, let me just introduce you to the boys. Glenn Curran up the top and Alan Love down the bottom.
Hi, Sean.
Glenn and I have known each other for some time, and Lovey's Glenn's known for some time, but he's a new recruit for me in the last month or so. I have met him previously, quickly, but as far as coming on this show and having a chat, which is the whole purpose of why we're doing this, it's been great introducing to new guys, new girls, as all friends, and we can hopefully get out and have a beer at some stage at a pub and watch a bit of footy, and in this case, some races. So it's good to get you on board, Sean. I know you've got a good thing going there. We'll talk about what's behind you a little bit later on. But one thing I want to touch on just before we get into Friday night races, and I know this has just happened today. Glenn's a mad Bombers man, but finally we've got a guy that's departed. Finally gone. The deal's finally done. So just quickly, Glenn, your thoughts?
Mate, I hope, as Alan said, I hope it's a good thing for both parties. Get a high draft pick, and Joey gets to get some time on the park and a side that's probably not that far off it. Look, I don't begrudge the guy, but this year with the whole pandemic and the fact that his probably mind wasn't in it, happy to see him go and wish him all the best. And as I said, hopefully we get some good draft, 10, 12-year players out of it. Some good young kids.
Sure. So you thought his mind wasn't in it by the end, or was it just his body giving up? What's your real thoughts?
Look, I think fair bit of pressure for the lad too. As a Danaher, a Danaher Essendon is like it's like a Watson, like Fletcher, and
but let's be honest. These days, let's cut that out. Let's be honest, mate. Every club's got one of these now, right? Nearly every club's got a father and son kind of deal going on. And don't get me wrong, they're all under pressure. But look, I think it's the best thing. A fresh start, get off somewhere. Brisbane's a great place to be, I reckon. Lovey, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I actually said it last year. At the end of last year, when we had 2 first-round picks thrown at us, we should have just taken it and run. Because always a key concept, and it's the same, Glenn will attest to this, even at local level football. If you don't want to be there, don't force a person to actually still be there, because you're not going to get the best out of them. So, Aaron, you asked the question, did he really want to be there? Was his heart really in it? Guarantee it wasn't. I can guarantee it wasn't. That 3-goal haul against Hawthorn where he turned the game in the second half. That's just him. That's just him enjoying his footy, playing his football, and that's fine. From a club perspective, you only want guys that want to be there. And that's why we should be chasing these Caldwells and these Dunkleys. I get it. I'd rather go to the draft personally. But if we want people that want to come to the club, then all of a sudden you start to even the ledger up a little bit from 3 very good footballers leaving the club. You're getting 2 very good footballers potentially coming back in. So worst case scenario, you go to the draft to replace a very good level B grade footballer. So if you can balance your ledger a little bit on that, that's great. But if you don't want to be at the club, that's fine. No offence taken. Off you go. Yep.
Sean, what's your thoughts?
Oh, look, it's if I was a Brisbane Lions supporter, I'd be absolutely thrilled. They're in the window, they're in the wheelhouse. Their decision making from 4 years ago. You know, they were a pile of rubbish. Bring in Fagan. He brings in the right people, but brings in good people, and he obviously got Hodgie on board, which was really a shock, I think, to anyone in football. When he retired, all of a sudden he finds his way up to Brisbane. Master stroke, like unbelievable. Situation, and fantastic for the Brisbane Football Club. And look what they've done. They're a young team. They're going places, and who wouldn't want to go there at the moment? You know, like I'd be happy to buy a membership and support and go to the footy and watch. And Joe Danaher, mate, I can understand poor old Essendon. Look, Brett, is it Brett Rutten? Is it Brett?
Ben Rutten.
Ben Rutten, Ben. Like, I don't know, you know, like John Worsfold's been at the helm. Ben Rutten, I'm not sure whether he's the man that's going to lead Essendon out of where they're at. So
he might not be that man, Sean, but he's getting a cleaner slate as the days go by.
Yeah.
And the more that these guys move on, the better off that we will be. And, you know, let's not forget about the mindset of Joe Danaher. You know, if you get into the head of Joe, if he's not enjoying himself, if he's not enjoying the core thing he has to do 5 days a week, it's like the rest of us, right? We're not enjoying it. You've got to find something else. You've got to do something else about it. And he's done that, and he's been looking to do that. We've finally come to the party on it, and I think it'll work out well for everyone.
Yeah. So
I'm
look,
worried being a supporter with all the amount of players that are just jumping ship. It's been a long time since they've been in the finals. It's been a horrible period for them in the last decade, and it's just it's going to be a tough few years. But Brisbane, and just touched on it, they put the right people in place, and they went from the bottom of the ladder to second last to finals, and now they're contenders in 4 years. So,
yeah, I think,
and I agree with you too, Sean. The wheel can turn pretty quick. Like you look at the best side in it now, and they're the best side in it by fair way, the Tigers. You look at their 2017 to where they are now. They got the right people in place, probably upset a few members initially. And as Alan and I, we're, look, hand on heart, we are Bomber supporters. I'm happy, bit of pain, if I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. If the light at the end of the tunnel is a train coming out of the way, though, an engine, that's when you get frustrated as a supporter/member.
Yeah.
It helps to get a once-in-a-generation footballer too.
Absolutely does. There's been a bit of movement in this trade period, and
sorry, Aaron, I'm going to butt in, mate, but because you're a Melbourne supporter, mate, but you had two choices in the 2009 draft, and you got them both wrong.
Yeah, well, put it this way: this isn't our first time we've gone wrong in the draft. In hindsight, later on, but let's quickly touch on that. I still refer to the ultimate number one draft choice from back in the day that never went anywhere. And who am I thinking about, guys? Name one for me. Richmond.
Richard Lounder, Anthony Bannock.
Anthony Bannock was probably one of the greatest number ones never to do anything. Richard Tambling, was he start at Richmond? So there was another.
No, Richard's Tambling's famous for being the pick before Buddy.
Yep.
Tambling was 2, I think.
And look, we brought players on this show before that have talked about where they are in the draft and where they ended up in their career. And look, it's a lucky dip from 1 to 20. Let's face it. Unless it's an absolute superstar standout, which as a kid they don't always end up long-term prospects. So you just don't know. But the one that really interested me, and Melbourne put their hands out for him, and it was supposed to be a destination. It was all going to happen. Really disappointed in this one, and I think Hawthorn supporters are really disappointed too, because if they could have thrown him anywhere, it wouldn't have been this club, I'm sure. And he's ended up at the Cats, so that's going to be an interesting one. They throw him in, throw McGovern in. I think there was one other that was touted as well, that's going there as well.
Crouch is going to St Kilda.
There was someone else that was going to
Isaac Smith
Geelong as well.
So they've got Isaac Smith, resources in midfield. They're going to get Jeremy Cameron, who bolsters up the forward line.
Yep.
I still say Higgins lands there. He'll pretty
That's
much
right. Higgins is the other one. Yep.
Mate, it's a different looking Geelong team next year, big time.
Absolutely. There's a bit of strength there. Should have kept Gary for one more.
Yeah.
As Sean said before about being in that window, obviously we'd love our side to win the grand final. But as Sean said, look at Geelong, and you got it like Stephen Wells, the way he recruits and that, the way they've managed each year to be not just making the finals, but they get to, if not the last dance, they get to the second last dance, the prelim.
Yep.
So
all right. Well,
the quality they're bringing in,
you know,
that could be the difference.
As you know, we can talk footy for another hour or 5 hours, like we've already done in the last few shows. So it's been great to talk footy. We're moving on.
But the racing guru on.
We have got the racing guru on, who knows his stuff. Very connected in the racing world. He's almost devoted his life back to the racing industry in respect of events. And people that come with events. And Sean, I think you're doing a great job in that space. So let's just quickly touch on the last maybe 12 weeks, really, for you. Let's break it down just into what's happened. I know the first period of COVID, and then we've had this second period of COVID. What's life like been for you? Because obviously no events now. A few things go out the door, and you've got to start to use the magic word pivot. And move into something else in another avenue. So what's it look like for you, and what's next?
Yeah, mate. Well, look, this online Zoom, I've never used the word Zoom so much in the last 6 months.
Used to just be a sponsor, didn't it? It's
yeah. Obviously, you text people and you send emojis and smiley faces and boxing gloves and all sorts of things. But every time I go to the emojis, the number one emoji is my little Zoom car. But look, it's been tough because my business the last 12 months, 18 months, I had already pivoted from being a full-time racing business for 6 or 7, nearly on 8 years since the Travesty Days, AC, which you remember fondly, the Travesty Days, which was myself and my two brothers and heavily involved in fashion and selling T-shirts and hoodies. And
I've still got one of them too, mate. Don't worry.
Yeah. I'm sure that there's many from our vintage that wore a Travesty tee to the Prince of Wales in the days. I remember I rocked up there one night with mum and dad. Mum and dad are dancing on the podiums. I turned around and every second, I think they were my age, but every second person had a Travesty tee on. I'm like, this is pretty cool. But
Shawnee used to use it as the old beer economy, mate. You get a tea and I'll give you a few beers. That's how it worked, didn't it, Sean?
I did get a few drink cards in the day from a few of the nightclubs, a few of the bars, because I had a bit of pull at Travesty. But yeah, mate, they were the days. But you move on and got into racing and got into running events, and I see that picture in your background there, AC. We did that together, a long time ago when I got involved with Jimmy Cassidy. And look, we do a lot of work now with Jimmy. I race horses with him. We had a horse running race one tonight called Bobsled, which was favourite and disappointing. When you're a favourite as an owner with a horse, you sort of go to the races expecting to win.
I have to cut you off there, mate. I quickly did the right thing, texted to the boys, make sure they were on it because they were on the show tonight. We're going to have a little chat about the great win from. I think it's turned into Jamaican bobsled now, mate. It's going backwards quickly.
I don't bag you, Sean, because you didn't send me the text. I bag you, Aaron, because you sent me the text. That's black mark against you already.
Sadly, you saved your pennies.
Well, as a very good owner of you always bag the jockey, and Jamie Carr rode 4 winners last week on Cox Plate Day, and she was given one instruction with our horse: just go to the front and lead, and keep running. And 100, 200 yards into the race, she's sitting one back, one out, like going, "You're supposed to be leading, honey." Anyway, she's a great jockey. I won't drag her, but she got that one wrong.
So just on that, Sean, this was the horse that won it by an absolute streak.
Yeah.
Champion Canuck, I think it's called. So we'll have to keep an eye on that because I always love to know the one that beat the one that was supposed to win, Sean. That's all I know about racing. That's what I'll follow.
Well, Kira Maher I did see that. Kira Maher and David Eustace trained the winner, and they obviously trained the Cox Plate winner, which was their first Cox Plate, and they're at the top of the game, and they're young guys, and good luck to them. They've really built up a big stable of horses, and they're training a lot of winners. And who knows? Look, they may train the winner of the Melbourne Cup next Tuesday. Which, as I said, they're only young guys. Kira Maher's been in the industry for a long time. He's born and bred and grown up as a jumps jockey down in Warrnambool, and I think he trained his first Group 1 winner as a 19 or 20-year-old 15 years ago, and he's now set up a Caulfield, and what a dream, and it's great owning horses, great racing horses, and the last 8 years I've done that with a lot of good friends and good clients and good people and good blokes. We've had a lot of fun, a lot of success, and we'll keep doing that. And the last 8-9 months, it's 11 months. I haven't been able to run any events, host events. It's been hard from a business point of view, but I got a life lesson 15 years ago from a very, very successful businessman, and he sat down to give me a bit of mentoring, and he said, before we talk business, I'm going to talk to you about health. It's the most important thing in your life, because if you're not healthy, it's going to affect you, of course. It's going to affect everyone around you. And he said, mate, just health's number one, and this year's testament to that it's just all about health. And if we haven't got our health, then we're in the lucky country, and we've now got on top of this virus. We've done it the hard way here in Victoria, but you'd want to be living here right now, and you probably want to you'd want to be living here in the last few months rather than some other jurisdictions of the world.
Absolutely, yeah, we're pretty lucky, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That's a great call. That's a great call you made. Oh, sorry, Az. That's a great call you made, Sean, about the whole idea of the show, and it's great to have you on board, mate, and your knowledge and that sort of stuff and information you're going to give us and whatever will be very, very insightful. But that's the main reason. But when Az and I first started talking about doing the show and doing the podcast, it's great to talk about footy, cricket, soccer, horse racing, whatever it is. But as you said, whether you're in a relationship, whatever, unless you're healthy physically and mentally, you can't do the next step. That's the first step. So, mate, fantastic words, mate. So, yeah, really good.
Yeah. So we let's just have a chat about what's coming up. Obviously, it was really disappointing in the last kind of round, which was Cox Plate. Am I correct in saying that? That just happened. Look, it was really disappointing, but I think the right call was made in respect of no crowds there. Look, would have been great to have some crowds there, no doubt. But I think it was the right call at the time. The question is let's just touch on crowds for a second. Do you think would it be too early now to start bringing crowds in? I know there was an initial amount that they were trying to bring in for trainers and close connections. What's your thoughts, Sean? I would have thought we've progressed a little bit to know what we're doing and should be doing socially.
Yeah. Well, look, we understand, the public understands, we all understand the importance of social distancing and the importance of the situation, and if you're crook, stay at home and go get your testing and do all that. So look, we could get away with it, but it's just small steps, and I think that the concern is if we sort of try and take the big steps too quick. There is obviously a percentage, and there's a small percentage of society and people that do the wrong thing, and that's what, in my opinion, that's what we've got to protect against. And unfortunately, we've got to hold off and just wait a little bit longer. I feel for anyone that's sort of lost someone in the last few months, or at the moment, and you can only have a small amount of people at funerals and services. And someone texted me before, and they're organising a service on Melbourne Cup Day for their uncle, and Dr. Bruce Reid from the Essendon Footy Club passed, who's the doctor of my parents, and he's going to get buried next week, and he deserves to be buried and have a wake of 10,000 at the Essendon Footy Club, but it's not going to happen. But so I would like to put that situation first and say, look, everyone can go and respect and put 100 or 200 people into a church or outdoors at a funeral. Forget about the spring carnival and people going to watching the races or the footy. Let's start and get that right first.
I think it's time to set up a few marquees like we used to do back in the day, Sean, and sadly,
and wankers like me would come in and just drink your dry.
Out for funerals for a little while. It's the only way we're going to get the people there.
I can see the issue here. I can see Sean, as you said, Lovey. I can see Sean, and as would have been the marquee, and you and I would be the blokes coming in half cut, and I'd say, "Sorry, boys, not in this party." You can go.
No, they let me in, cuz. They let me in, Glenn. I don't know about you, but they let me in. Don't you worry. Yeah. It's all good.
You would have been a members only night for sure, cuz. You would have been left on the line. So we've talked about that a couple of times. But look, tomorrow, let's move forward to tomorrow. What's that look like? Obviously tonight, we're right now as we're talking, there's races on, Moonee Valley night races.
Hang on,
and
mate.
let's just touch. Let's just mention
how about we win it tonight, AC?
Absolutely.
What's the time we're on? It's nearly 7:30.
While I'm mentioning this, I'll give Shawnee a little couple of minutes to go and find us one. Because we're gonna. It's really important for our.
I don't need to go anywhere.
Righto, for our so what's been happening, listeners. Well, fair to say you didn't deliver on the first, Shawnee. So
they didn't know about that.
Oh, that's okay. No, they did know about that. Don't worry. Our listeners didn't. And then let me just touch on the. I think we got to the third, and Cuz tips me his special for the night, which went backwards quickly. So. Let's just let that one go for a second.
No, be quiet, cuz. No.
Just remember, I hold the mute button here, mate. So anytime you get a bit ahead of yourself.
Thank you.
So, Shawnee, let's get over to you. Where are we up to for tonight? Let's just start with tonight.
Okay,
what race are we up to?
It's actually I think for a lot of the racing industry people, they just are not happy that there's a race meeting on before Derby Day, Moonee Valley Friday night. Look, I think the punters are sitting on their lounge chair, doing a lot of form for tomorrow, and can't wait. So look, we race every day of the week, and I think there's only 2 days a year we don't race. So.
And just on that, I just want to mention how good the racing industry has been and how well they've managed this to go right through this COVID scenario and still running races every weekend. And that's not just the horses, that's the dogs, the harness, the whole shooting match. I think I only heard of one kind of incident. And that was dealt with really quickly. And I just think it was an incredible result out of all the sports, and it just employs so many people. So I'd like to just hats off to the whole entire racing industry to be able to pull that together.
I don't think people know, Sean. You're involved in the industry. I don't think people who don't know the whole industry, as I just said, they think horse racing, and Michael think horse racing, gambling. They make that connection, and yes, that is a connection. But as you would know yourself, the impact when it's not on, you can't do hosting your events, jockeys can't ride, strappers, trainers. The flow on is immense, and you realise how much it actually means to the economy of the state, but not only the state, the nation as well.
Yeah. Yeah, look, it's I guess the racing industry, a few other industries have proven that, we probably could have pushed through in a lot of other industries as well through the last 6 or 8 months. Well,
I suppose, I mean, also we know that not only racing, obviously we know that NRL and AFL did a great job in their bubbles to get the season through, and netball for that matter. So there's, 3 kind of major sports that have done it in that bubble scenario. Some would say the racing scenario is the same, just in that bubble kind of format. But I think they've done a great job to do it. So, Shawnee, we've got a couple of races left for tonight. Find us one. We'll put it out to our massive database, and if nothing else, mate, you'll put it in as a winner, and hopefully we can find one here, and then we'll talk about tomorrow.
Not for the kiddies. Race 8, number 16, Just Like Mum. There you go. All the listeners out there.
Here we go.
Just Like Mum. So, we're all on price. It should be about $9.
Absolutely, and
that's tonight. Now we can talk Derby Day.
Speaking of a couple of great people, just a shout out to my mum to say g'day to my mum Jan and your mum Jan as well, Shawnee. I know she's a superstar, and you're fair to say supporter. Absolutely, and fair to say your mum and dad have had a few trials and tribulations in the last 12 months. They've been on the couch for about I don't know how many weeks, both with something broken or rebuilt on their legs, and I think that's an incredible effort to. It was talk about make or break, and they've been together a long time, mate. But she's able to test the patience sitting on the couch together in plaster for that period of time.
Yeah, well, Dad had an Achilles injury, which is painful, and leg up in the moon boot for about 12 weeks, and then Mum took the dog for a walk and slipped over and fractured and dislocated her ankle, and was in a moon boot for 13 weeks. So, and we couldn't go over and visit. That was the worst thing. We couldn't go over and visit, and
not like they're 33 either, is it?
Lucky they've been married for whatever it is, 45 years, 48 years. They knew each other pretty well, and they hadn't kicked each other out of home by this year. That was never going to happen. But
absolutely,
yeah.
So off to tomorrow, and no doubt. Like, is it likely that Glenn or Lovey would you have normally been at the races? What would have been going on for you?
Well, my Facebook page, the photo of Jody and I is from Derby Day 4 years ago.
Right.
You don't look very happy where you just quietly.
Yeah. Obviously, you catch no winners either.
We might have had a few by that stage, mate. So I think it was in Flinders Lane, one of the little bars in there. So I was heading home afterwards. But look, Derby Day to me, as a punter, Derby Day is possibly it's a purest day. Like most people who like to even not even bet on the race, like to go and watch the races, Derby Day is the best day. Like I know our neighbours up north in Sydney have now thrown a lot of money at the Everest and things like that, but Derby Day is still for the traditionalists, it's the gun day. Every race is a group race, 4 group ones.
Absolutely, it's definitely a big day for sure,
and a good day. Yeah,
Shawnee, tell me, other than the Derby, what's the race we're looking for tomorrow? What's the big other race that we should look at as a racing novice myself?
Yeah, well, look, I was lucky enough with a good friend of mine, the lucky leprechaun, Liam Allen. We raced a horse a few years ago for Sayo and ran in the Derby. That was a thrill. And this year's Derby is actually, the favourites only had 2 race starts out of the Danny O'Brien stable. So this year's race, the purists and all the analysts and commentators are really downgrading this year's race as probably one of the worst potential derbies for a long period of time. So it's probably not a stellar version of the derby, and it's probably not a race. The punters, look, the punters will have a bet in every race, won't they? And the Danny O'Brien horse, which is Young Werther, is a favourite, and a lot of the good judges are tipping has got the capacity to be a horse of the future. So it's probably the horse with Cherry Tortoni, which is the second favourite. They're the two horses, in my opinion, are the standouts, but it's not the race that I'm looking forward to. The Empire Rose. I'm looking forward to the Empire Rose because I personally believe the best bet of the day is in that race, which is race 5, number 1, Mystic Journey. Now, she won the Australian Guineas 18 months ago and beat the boys. She's a mare. And on that particular occasion, she beat all the best colts and geldings at Flemington over 1,600. And then she went and won the All-Star Mile that year. She's been racing, she raced in the Cox Plate last year. She had an attempt at the Cox Plate and then this preparation, she won her last start and beat a horse from WA, and they beat the rest by about 6 lengths. So I think, personally, that's the best bet of the day. But, having 4 Group 1 races on Derby Day, and that's why it's a stellar day and a classic race day in the country, and definitely probably one of 2 of the best race days we have here in Victoria with Caulfield Guineas Day. But to have a runner on these days, which, as I said, I had a runner in the Derby. I've had probably, I guess, 8 to 10 runners, through the Cup Carnival in the last 5 or 6 years. It's just a thrill. Like, it's great going to the races, going with the wifey, going with the friends, going with the mates, going with the owners. The beauty about living in Melbourne and what we've all missed this year is going to sport and going to the grand final, even going to round 12, going to the footy at the MCG and watching the Pies versus Richmond, get 60, 70,000, going to the races and, 110,000 normally gets the Cup Day, and it's we're spoiled. We're spoiled, and I think that we a lot of us appreciate the fact that we've been spoiled, and I look forward to next year 100%. Like, there's so many of my good blokes and my race owners and friends, like we'll we'll be getting ready for Derby Day next year, like in April.
Yep, absolutely. Lovey, have you found one tomorrow?
Yeah, our punters club's off to a rough start thanks to bobsled for this weekend. It's
Thanks to Jamie Carr. There was nothing wrong with bobsled. Jamie Carr ordered it.
Yeah. Well, let's
tell you what, it was
back for bobsled.
I could hear it neighing like a donkey from Ringwood. So there's 2 that our punters club are pretty keen on, and Sean, I want to run them by you just in case we're completely wrong. It doesn't sound like it. So Mystic Journey was one of them. We're going straight on the nose with that one.
Chips in.
All chipped in with Mystic Journey. And we're going each way. It was in the Coolmore on a sprinter called Glenfiddich.
What a great horse.
Sorry? What was that, Sean?
Peter Moody trained, yep.
Yep, that's right. So he's at 15s at the moment. We reckon in each way might get us a little bit of coin. We think that he might bobble up at the end of that one. So they were the 2 that we're going to take in. We're actually, and to your point, Sean, we've actually been told by a couple of our own people in the industry, don't touch Derby. Don't touch the Derby. Yeah. It was quite. We might throw Werther in as part of a multi, but it was quite weird hearing that. And I guess on the other one, Aaron, Derby Day's my favourite day. And 2002 Derby, I actually cannot even remember who won that day. I should, but I can't. The best part about that day was I was invited on the inside, and we had the glorious Just Jeans tent, the Bundy tent, and the Domino's Pizza tent all around us at Colonial First State. It was like a free fall. It was great. It was brilliant, perfect day, and you were still expected to behave accordingly. So it's a very special day, that one.
Yeah, well, it's interesting comment. Behave accordingly. It's probably going to get a new lease of life at the moment with people getting out doing all sorts of things they shouldn't do. But I hope we can get to the next carnival next year and enjoy a few beers, and everyone actually gets to enjoy it. And look, sadly we've got to get through another winter before then. But I think we'll put ourselves in a good place if we're.
I'm looking. I actually think. Yeah, sorry, mate. I'm actually thinking Boxing Day at Kilfield's always a good day too. That'd be nice, or Mornington on Boxing Day. Either of those two race meets are always fantastic on Boxing Day. So if we can get to having some crowds for Boxing Day, that'd be great.
Yeah, I think that'll be definitely regional races. That's an exciting prospect for a few people to be able to get up there and get amongst it. And Glenn, just touch on quickly. You told me an interesting story you heard on the radio from one punter that decided he was going to make a little trip up the bush from a lake and cross the border.
What?
Yeah.
So that was an interesting get during the week. Where was that, Glenn?
I think he Wodonga, and he tried to stick over to Orbit over bet or something, and I think common sense goes out the window, sort of thing. When someone gets the good mail, and obviously Wodonga and Orbit, as we know, border towns work together. The bloke might have said something to them. Where are you heading off for, mate? And he goes, "I just sort of work." And the bloke said, "Oh, okay. What are you doing?" And he didn't have a lot for him. He basically said, "I'm just going over. I'll be coming back." So he goes, "No, mate, you can't go." And I think, like we all do when you get in that situation, and try to bring him into it or whatever, but it didn't quite pan out.
We'll keep talking for a little bit because I know Lovey's he's sort of on borrowed time today. So I appreciate Lovey coming on and having a chat to us. So Lovey, I quickly want to get a cup tip off you because I know we're not going to get to that before probably you get to take off. So what have you found? And it doesn't have to be the cup necessarily, but what do you like during the day? Have you found anything so far? How is it?
I'm actually, to be honest, I'm still trying to. I always actually like punting on the McKinnon rather than the Melbourne. And the McKinnon stakes for me is a really good one. Melbourne Cup, geez, the Cox Plate form from Sue Raglot was good, but it's got to rain a bit, doesn't it? So I don't know. I mean, it's a pretty open. Melbourne Cup's always an open field. Derby Day, you sort of can normally whittle it down to 4 or 5, but Melbourne Cup's always an open market. And the weather, I don't know what the weather's meant to be like over the next 4 days, but I think it's a bit of a mixed bag. So
too early to call?
I would think so. Being the highly informed amateur punter that I am.
You really sat on the fence for us there. Really sat on the fence for us there, Lovey. Come on, mate.
Give me one.
Give me one you're thinking of.
All right, you know what? Let it piss down and get Sir Regalot over the line. Then, if that's the case, let's go to Cox and Melbourne Cup double. It was Helenas that won the Derby back in 2002. I looked it up, and I should have known that.
Yes,
because it paid for the rest of my night out that night. So, all fun and all fair war and all fair and dandy, but we're going to be pretty sober this year, unfortunately. That's a shame.
Yeah, well, you can always have I usually
do some of my best punting when I've at least had a few. I just go, well, there you go. And get up.
Yeah, well, let me bring up a disclaimer now that gamble responsibly.
Correct. Yeah.
So, we can't have a racing show without mentioning that. So, Glenn,
can I set you up for a second?
Who have you got? Absolutely.
Well, I was just going to Sean for a second. Traditionally, obviously, the McKinnon is now run on the last day of the carnival. It used to be like the sort of on tomorrow, but a lot of people said that got a bit dodgy because it became like a $500,000 trial for the Melbourne Cup. Bart Cummings was famous for putting horses in the McKinnon just to get them used to Flemington or whatever, and get them ready for the big game, the big dance on Tuesday. And then obviously the Caulfield Cup was always a pretty good guide. I haven't seen the final fields, but I liked Finch's run in the Caulfield Cup, Waller's horse.
Yeah, big.
Damien Lane, very good jockey, ice cold. They call him Frosty, and because they reckon very focused individual. And I think it was probably 3 or 4 wide. The Iceman, 3 or 4 wide the whole way. Look, a lot of things to go right when there's 24 horses run around. But if it gets a good run, I think it'd be a good each way chance. But I think one of the internationals will win it. It just depends which one it is. Because they definitely target our race now, which I think is a good thing. That brings the horse down to the Melbourne Cup.
You've sat on the fence too, cuz. Just give me one, mate.
He's got more splinters. He's got more splinters in his backside than I have. Fair income.
That's all right. I'm writing them down. Let's see who comes good. It's a good day today. Lovey, I really appreciate your time, mate. I know you've got to take off.
Yeah, I've got to head off, guys. Sean, great to meet you, mate. Congratulations on the work you're doing in the background there, and have a great weekend with all your horses and all your interests, and hopefully you have a great weekend with your family, most importantly. And to the other two boys, I'll catch up with you at the next potty, if not earlier. I'll see you later, guys.
Look forward to it. Cheers, Lovey.
See you, mate.
All right, then 4 becomes 3. It would have been good to have Lovey on longer. That's okay. Yeah, that's right. He's let the grenade go and then ran off. So it was well done, well played. Sean, your thoughts on the Cup? Did we cover that? We didn't.
No, well, Glenn Finch is a horse that ran in the Cup last year and was second or third favourite, and I actually backed it in the Cup. Beaten probably only 2 lengths. There was obviously a photo finish of 4 horses. I think it was 5th or 6th, beaten 2 lengths. You're right, Caulfield Cup, it was 3-4 deep the trip. He went forward 800 from home. It was still there. So it's going to run the distance. Flemington, it's performed well there. Probably well weighted because just the horse just hasn't been able to hit the line and win many races since it's been in Australia. But it's probably one of, I reckon there's 8 or 9 horses really in the same bracket. So it right at the moment, and I had a good look at the Cup field yesterday. I got a tipping comp with the Good Bloke Society, and on Tuesday, part of the entry fee, we're going to toss a heap of it and take a first 4 in the Melbourne Cup. Now, if you can get the first 4 in the Melbourne Cup, the 4 favourites will pay 15 to 20,000. So you just need a bit of a split. You need a couple of odds to sort of jump in there, and it's a $60,000 result. So I started looking yesterday, and I'm like, wow, it's last year I reckon I whittled it down to about 15 horses, and I sort of got rid of 9 horses because 24 horse field, and just looked at the field, and I thought there's probably 10 horses I could make a case for, and think that, based on what I've seen with their form in Australia and from the Caulfield Cup and past experience, you've got to throw them into that first 4 mix. And the first 4 mix is not going to be far away from winning the race. So, look, I'd love to see Surprise Baby win the race, like Paul Pruska, been training, country trainer, regional, just a horseman, great horseman. They purchased the horse for $6,000 and ran an enormous race last year, and he set it for this race. Everything's been about this race. It'd be a Michelle Payne type of story, homebred, trainer. It'd be fantastic. With all these internationals, because it is hard to beat them. It is very, very hard to beat them. Like the horse that ran second in the Caulfield Cup, I think it's Anthony Van Dyke. He's the horse to beat, in my opinion. Yeah. Anthony Van Dyke.
He's run at Caulfield for the first time seeing Caulfield, which Canavett's Ravens that was a huge run, like wide, not ideal for the conditions, whatever.
Carried weight, top weight, massive.
Top weight. To get as close as it did was huge. But that said, looking at the replay of the Bendigo Cup from the other day, Brian's horse and that as well, same sort of thing.
Pondus,
weight wide. Unfortunately, a horse broke down in the race that hindered it as well and got beaten by a bee's dick on the line as well. So, as you said, you look at a horse, you look at a field of 24. There's probably, as you said, 8 to 9. You think, no, they can't make it, but then you can make a case, if not winning it, at least to run a place for the other 14 or 15.
Yeah.
Yep.
Look, it'd be great to be there, and it was like I've watched a lot of Melbourne Cups from the racecourse itself. I've been there a lot, especially the last 8-10 years, and the Michelle Payne one was amazing. That was great for racing, and it was great for women in sport, and it's been great the last 5 years how women in sport, how it's been developed, and women coming in and playing AFL, and women winning the Melbourne Cup. And I spoke about Jamie Carr. I do rate her. She's a fantastic jockey. She just didn't do a good job on bobsled tonight, but she's a great jockey, and she stands a very, very good chance winning the Melbourne Cup on Prince of Arran. The horse had been out here last 2 years and ran enormous, beaten in a photo last year, and I think the year before ran third, and we've seen that with Red, I think it was Red Cardinal, or no, it wasn't Red Cardinal, but Red Cardo, wasn't it?
What's it?
Yeah. Red Cardo, anyway, come out, ran third and second 3 years in a row.
But it's funny you mentioned about...
Yeah, so... Look, it's the race that stops the nation. It's a good time to be a punter and a horse owner, and to have your eyes fixed on the TV the next 4 out of the next 7 days. With Derby Day tomorrow, and then Cup Day, and then Ladies' Day, Oaks Day, fantastic Oaks Day. Love Oaks Day Thursday. I'll be down the Squires Loft in Cheltenham having lunch down there, watching the Oaks on the big screen. And can't be at the races, so we'll get out and about. We'll get down, we'll dine, and then Stakes Day, the final day, which the McKinnon. So Lovey, who likes the McKinnon, the McKinnon Stakes Group 1. I think they have 2 or 3 Group 1s on the final day.
Not so much from a money winning perspective, Sean. What was your most memorable day at the races, or say during the Spring Carnival? What was the day you just thought, what a magic day?
I'm laughing. I'm laughing because one of my most treasured memories it probably should be a movie, to be honest. I won a race down at Tassie this year. I won the Tassie Derby with a horse called Vamos Rafa. And we sent the horse down there because we just felt that the horse didn't have the ability to probably be winning races here in Victoria, and we sent it down there and thought, you know what, if it's going to win a race, it will win one down in Tassie. And 5 months after we sent it down there, it won the Tassie Derby, and it was like the horse was 15-1, and it was a favourite that looked like $1.60 pop. It was, you don't expect to win, and it was $150,000 listed race. It was so such a thrill, but unfortunately that horse 6-8 weeks after the race copped a disqualification for a positive swab to a meloxicam, which is an anti-inflammatory, which the horse had in the lead up to the race, and within racing regulations, but the horse still had it in the system when it raced on that day, and the rules of racing states that it can't be that. And we lost the race. So, I got the picture, and we had the thrill of winning, and unfortunately we didn't get the prize money. And so that's racing. It's just it's a hard caper. It's a hard caper as an owner or a trainer, a jockey. There's not a lot of highs. There's a lot of lows. But I'm sure anyone watching, or anyone that's can appreciate being an owner and a punter, and it's when it's in the blood, it's in the blood. And look, it's I love it, and it's been a thrill, and I've met some really good people through it. I've met a lot of really close friends, and good blokes and good people through horse racing, that's for sure.
I'll touch on that in 2 seconds, Sean. We won't take too much more of your time. I think you've been great, and thank you for doing it on a Friday night before the races. I just wanted to flash our mind back to a great memory, mate, we shared. We didn't necessarily share it together, mate, but I was part of the kind of lead up of what we were going to do, and if it happened, we were going to do something special. And when it did happen, it was probably one of the most iconic moments in racing that I've seen and been involved in. And I flash back to 2002 Melbourne Cup. Yeah. with a fantastic moment in the end for adversity out of such tragedy from before. But I flash back to Media Puzzle with Damien Oliver. Can you just give us a little bit of your memory from that, Sean, and what it really meant to you? And I know you've been close to Damien over time and had some involvements. We even recorded a DVD of that kind of moment that was part of the memorabilia piece. It was a really special time, and I really look back on that nearly 20 years ago now, and hopefully we can celebrate that in a couple of years' time. But what did that mean to you? And when you reflect back on all your time in racing now, have you seen anything that's touched you as much as that?
You're right, actually. Yeah, I sort of spoke about Michelle Payne, and 2002, so nearly 20 years ago. And at that time we were plodding away and running a business that was we did memorabilia, sports memorabilia, and obviously had the racing passion and running marquees out at Flemington in the Birdcage. And I do remember 100%. I remember being in that marquee. I remember being with people, and the lead up when Ollie lost his brother, within a week of that Melbourne Cup, you just felt for him. You felt for the situation, and then when he decided to ride and the horse won, and the Greg Miles his commentary, he's doing it for the spirit of Jason. If you're feeling down and you just sort of you're not sure where you're heading, or you're just having a bad day, sort of go and watch YouTube and bring that end of that race up and listen to that call, and Damien grabs the whip and he kisses it and he looks in the sky and holds it up, and that's inspirational. That's as inspirational sporting moment I think there's probably ever been, really in Australia and who knows in the world.
Well, there's one thing just on that, Sean.
A week after you lose your brother and he's passed, and he wore his breeches, and look, what an inspiration, and it was meant to be, wasn't it? So
it was a pretty special time, that's for sure. It was
amazing.
Great to when you look back, who would have thought it was 20 years? So it's amazing how fresh that memory, but I still got the little tingles in the back of my head when I thought of that moment, and that looking up and what it meant. It was a really emotional time for a lot of people, but I think the whole country was on his back that day to help him ride that home. So it was absolutely incredible. And not only for that, I mean, for Dermot Weld and the whole connections, it was just huge at the time. So it was really good to be able to treasure that with a piece. And I'm sure there's a few people that have got that memorabilia piece out there, Shawnee, from 20 years ago. And I remember it being a cracking. I just want to quickly touch on what you're doing now, Sean, and I know your banner's at the back, the Good Bloke Society. It's a great logo, great idea. I think so relevant in today's world, where we can get connections like this and a big group of blokes together at a function. Sadly, we can't do that right at the moment, but we can do that still virtually. And to have some of these moments, and I can see little Pumper there right in the middle. Obviously, this time of year, you guys would have been having all the sorts of functions in relation to racing, and the Great Dipper is obviously part of yours, Steve Heavey, as well as founding members, including yourself, Sean, of the Good Bloke Society. And what's it meant for you to put this program together? And I'm sure it gives you a lot of enjoyment to connect blokes that are good blokes. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, well, funny enough, it started 5 years ago as a bit of a sort of almost like a glorified punters club. And myself and Steve and Dipper had lunch, and we said, look, let's put together the boys, a couple of our sort of more probably corporate guys that that can avail time on a Friday, go out for lunch. We can do a bit of networking, a bit of business, and we can race a few horses and sort of have a bit of fun, tell some stories. And it evolved from there, and for 3 years we sort of slowly built, and we put some bylaws together, and we had a bit of fun with that. And yeah, we created the brand and the logo, and it wasn't until about 2 years ago when we started to really start talking about and opening up, and obviously mental health become a more prominent and more important in society. We had guys going through different journeys and challenges, and we started getting guest speakers in, and yeah, look, I just saw that there was more need for a men's support network, and yeah, we've sort of just grown rapidly the last 18 months, and then this year's obviously brought it to the fore really. Launched into Sydney last September, and then Brisbane this February, and we're starting to really develop a strong base. Got members in Tassie, Devonport, Mount Gambier, Gold Coast, Mildura. So yeah, it is. It's all about men supporting each other, and getting the balance right of having a good time, being social, going to the races, having a few beers, having a punt, carrying on, waking up with hangovers. That's all a big part of it. And everyone's in business, everyone's working, everyone's paying bills and looking after kids, and we want to support that as much as possible. And if someone needs someone to do the lawns, well, we got a lawnmower and the gardener in the group, well, let's give them the work. And then the wellness side, the health is just we spoke about that earlier, how important health is. And we had one of the team develop a throat cancer 18 months ago, and had to go through the chemo and go through treatment and go through the mental hardship of thinking, am I going to survive this or not? Like, what's going to happen to me? His body changes, everything changes, but one of the things he did gravitate to, and he did really appreciate and thank. We've got a WhatsApp group, and every Tuesday we'd get the boxing gloves, those little red boxing gloves, in the WhatsApp group, and we just sort of Tuesday morning, someone might wake up at 6:30, they just hit the boxing gloves, and then a chain reaction would go off. And, by 10 o'clock, you'd have 60 boxing gloves saying, mate, we're behind you, we're with you, we've got your back. Have a good day, mate. Get your treatment done. You'll be bouncing out of this before you know it. And, good on Hainsey. He was back, and he's healthier than ever, like he beat it. And that's a big part of the Good Bloke Society, mate.
Yeah, I think, mate, that's a fantastic story of just a little snippet of what Good Bloke Society's really meant, and just to be able to connect like that, to connect that many people, and it's something as simple as a little emoji flicked out to all those guys to show a chain of support. I think that's brilliant, Sean. I love to hear that. So I just want to have a quick shout out to someone you're also aligned with from a charity point of view at Good Bloke Society with Outside the Locker Room, and Jake Edwards, and I think we'd love to get Jake on in the next month or so. I know he's secretly busy at the moment, but I'd love to be able to have a chat to him and talk about his experience, because he's a great human being, man. He's got so much to give. So I look forward to being able to talk to him. So just a quick shout out to Outside the Locker Room, doing some great things in mental health and awareness, and with kids as well. So just wanted a quick touch to that. So Sean, I just want to finish with you with what you've got coming up, which at this point is it going to be a virtual virtual event, or it's at this point it's going to be a physical event, right? Coming in December there, a walk and talk event. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, look, obviously, like the last 5, 6, 8, 9 years through racing and now through the Good Bloke Society, I've been running events. I've been hosting 500 people at the MCG and putting Sammy Kekovich up on stage and then letting him tell all his gags and getting Andrew Johns and Matty Richardson and Brad Hodge and entertaining, like a bunch of clients and a bunch of good people, and I haven't been able to do it now for 11, 12 months. That's my business. It's a big part of it. So, I've decided, and I've been inspired by a lot of other people out there that are doing sort of similar stuff, and so I decided that, what, the health side of it's important. Maybe I can go and do a walk, and so I decided and come up with a Good Blokes Walk for 24. So myself and Dipper, Steve Heavey, we're going to walk for 24 hours from midday Thursday, December the 10th. I'm going to take off. We're probably going to start at Albert Park Lake, and we're going to take off and we'll do a few circles at Albert Park Lake, get a few of our members to come and walk with us. We're going to walk for 24 hours. We're going to put a GoFundMe page up. We're going to, raise a bit of noise. We're going to be on SEN, and we're going to try and get a bit of money raised for outside the locker room, and also RESN, which is Regional Education Support Network, which is a program of young kids who are giving their time for free to young, year 11, year 12 students that are behind the 8 ball and are struggling with their schooling, and they've got, obviously parents that can't afford the extra tutorage. So these young kids started this program to say, look, we're fortunate. We did go, leave regional, and we went into the city and passed and did well, and so they started this program, and so we're going to help them. And we're just going to bring all our little community together and just walk. Why 24 hours? I don't know, to be honest. I just thought might as well push myself a little bit, and I'm past running and doing marathons and anything silly like that. So I just thought, well, let's walk for 24 hours. And so anyone follows Good Bloke Society on Instagram or Facebook, or probably myself, the week after grand final, I'll be posting a lot of videos and photos and all sorts of things for a few weeks until December the 10th and 12th. And then the week after that at the George on Collins in the city, we're going to run a heap of little lunches just to celebrate that and raise some more money.
Sounds great, mate. I look forward to seeing that all happen and unfold. It'll be great to see. Get out there and
you want to come for a walk? December, it's going to be hot. Hopefully,
get out there and toot the horn and flash a few lights in the middle of the night when you're out there walking 24 hours, mate. It's great to have you. Thanks for coming on, Shawnee. Really appreciate it, mate.
Yeah, thanks.
We'll catch up soon, mate.
Yep.
Pleasure, mate. Good luck with it, mate. Obviously, I've been following, and we spoke a few months ago again, and I guess these times have proven that we just you need to get around people. You need to open up. We men need to talk. We need to open up. This year's been tough. Sometimes you wake up and you don't want to get out of bed, and you need people to talk to, and we men don't do it easily. And that's a big reason why I'm really passionate about the Good Bloke Society, and just keep finding good men and good blokes to put together and help as much as we can, and live the life of live that journey of life together.
Yeah,
thanks, boys.
Look forward to it, Shawnee. Thanks, Sean. Thanks for coming on.
See you, mate.
See you, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Just us, cuz. We won't take too much time, mate. But it was great to have Sean on. Some good insights in there in racing, and he's doing some great things. And I think the great takeaway from that too is Sean and his group really love that giving back component and working with different charities and really making that an important part of life.
Oh, as he said, he came on tonight as a racing guest on a Spring Carnival sort of talk. But as you and I said many times on this podcast, the most things that he spoke about tonight was people talking, looking after each other, getting your mental, physical health well. Once you get that right, other things will take care of itself. So, mate, great to have him on board.
Absolutely. And also, just wanted to touch on the fact that we're officially almost over. We've got one more day to go. We'll notch up a couple more Ks tomorrow to finish this off.
Clearly.
But we've done a great job to achieve our target, no doubt. I'm just trying to find here a little bit here. So $1,690 we've raised, which is a fantastic effort. We put together a $1,500 goal originally, and to raise $1,600 or nearly $1,700 is a fantastic effort from us, you, me, and Berkey. So, as I said, we initially started with maybe it's a round figure of 100 Ks. We checked that off in about the 14th or 15th, and we put it out to the people, and they gave a few more bucks, and we upped the ante and ran and walked 200 Ks. So Berkey ran about 140 odd Ks. So fantastic effort from Berkey. And Glenn, I know you shared a lot of those Ks with me, mate. So it was great to be able to do this. So just moving on very quickly to what we're going to do next. And I know we've touched on this before, but I just want to give us a quick pump as well with the Pat Cronin Foundation, the Be Wise Walk to Anywhere week. You've got a whole week to do it, and that week starts in a week's time. I'm pretty sure the date is, just double checking. So
8th of November?
I think it's 8th to the 14th, I think it is, or might be 58th. We better get that right because we're about to do it. So let's not go missing that date. And we had Matt Cronin on a week or so ago, and know the family well, and sadly we lost Pat to a coward punch, and hopefully that can never happen again. So this was a couple of years ago. We'd love to be able to do this again, and our aim was to try and get Richmond supporters on board to support the charity that the football team that he loves so much and got him a premiership. And we touched on this point before, that a wise person speaks with his actions, second with his mouth. So it was such a really important part and take away from the conversation we had the other day. So you're right. We do need to talk. People do need to talk, and this is the point of why we got on this show, to have a chat. And you never know who's listening. You never know who's watching. We've got this as an audio podcast as well now, so people can just go for a walk or a drive, or you don't have to be watching, and just have a listen, because you never know. We are like you. We're not invincible just because we're doing this. We're out of our comfort zone. We're having some fun. We're having a chat and a bit of a laugh. And I think that's the most important part, is you open up, you have a chat to someone, and hopefully we can all help each other. That's the point I wanted to make. So Glenn, just your final words, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, look, that's the thing, mate. It seems like a simple concept, but at times, especially our gender, the blokes, and our sort of wheelhouse, that 40 to 50-year-old sort of age group, we don't like to talk about things. And I think the most common denominator with all the people we've had on the show so far is we've brought them on as a musical artist, sports person, media personality. But once you start speaking to them, the things that you and I, Berkey, struggle with, they're struggling with the same things, or they see the same things as an issue. So that's a good thing. And as that quote that came up from Matt Cronin for the Pat Cronin Foundation about, like, to paraphrase, actions speak far louder than words. So let's not talk. Let's do things. Let's talk, but then follow the talk up with actions.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. Just a quick mention of what we got coming up on Sunday, which is another video podcast. It's Sunday, 5:00 p.m. with a super talented muso, and not just a super talented muso, but a super talented artist. He's multi-faceted. So can't wait to talk about that. A good friend of a friend, Damon Smith. So I look forward to having a chat to him. So just a quick pump, put it in the diary, Sunday, 5:00. Glenn, you and I will see each other before then, hopefully. But if not, worst case, we're going to see each other online on Sunday afternoon. So get ready, enjoy your both Derby Day, Cup Day, and hopefully you can back a winner. So good luck, mate. Catch you soon.
You too, mate. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Cheers, bud.